Each story, a mirror, reflects the wisdom and touch of life. In a post-apocalyptic, barren world, a father and son trudge along a crumbling highway. The world is covered in ash, the sky is perpetually overcast, and the once thriving civilization no longer exists. With only the supplies they have, they push an old shopping cart towards the unknown hope of the South. The father is a strong and persistent man who protects his young son with all his heart. They hide from the dangerous men scattered throughout the wilderness, men who have become vicious and cold in extreme circumstances. Despite the harsh environment, the father constantly teaches his son to keep the flame, which symbolizes the goodness and hope in humanity. During their journey, they encountered numerous obstacles. With little food and cold weather, they often fell into despair, but the father always encouraged his son to persevere. One day, they found some canned food in an abandoned basement, which was the most sumptuous meal they had had in a long time. However, the father's health was deteriorating, his cough was getting worse, and his strength weaker. Eventually, they reached the beach, but it does not bring the expected warmth and hope. The father's condition deteriorated dramatically, and he was unable to continue his journey. On his deathbed, he said to his son, "You must go on and carry our flame with you." With his father's last words and teachings, the boy embarked on a new journey alone. The boy's heart was filled with sadness, but he remembered his father's teachings and was determined to guard the flame that symbolized goodness and hope. In the wilderness, he meets a family of people who also hold fast to goodness and humanity. They accept the boy and promise to protect him and help him on his journey. Even if you are in a difficult situation, you have to be hopeful and courageous, and you will eventually find your own oasis. There was a little boy who had a bad temper. One day, his father gave him a bag of nails and told him that whenever he lost his temper, he should put a nail in the backyard fence. On the first day, the boy nailed 37 nails. In the following days, he gradually learned to control his temper and nailed fewer and fewer nails. He realized that controlling his temper was much easier than nailing nails. Day by day, the boy finally learned to control his emotions. Finally, one day, the boy realized that he had stopped losing his temper. He told his father, who was very pleased, and said, "Now, every time you succeed in controlling your temper, pull a nail from the fence." Once again, the days went by, and the boy finally pulled all the nails off. His father took him to the fence and said, "You've done a great job, but look at these holes. The fence will never be the same again." Losing your temper is like these nails. It leaves scars in other people's hearts. No matter how much you regret it, the scars remain. Father went on to say, "When you say or do something hurtful to someone, it's like a nail in their heart. Although you can apologize, the marks of the nail can never be removed." Being careful with your words and actions and learning to control your emotions is an important life skill. Have you ever encountered an emotional hedgehog? Share your story in the comment section. In a remote temple there lived two monks, an old monk and a young monk. One day, they needed to go down the mountain together to run an errand. On the way, they came to a small river and saw a young woman standing there, apparently wanting to cross the river but afraid to wade in alone. The young monk saw the woman's hesitation and felt embarrassed because their precepts stated that monks should not have contact with women. However, without any hesitation, the old monk stepped forward and said to the woman, "Come, I will carry you across the river." The woman gratefully climbed onto the old monk's back, and he carried her steadily across the river before setting her down. The woman thanked the old monk and went on her way. The old monk and the young monk also continued on their way, but the young monk felt very uneasy and confused in his heart. They were speechless all the way, and the young monk could never let go of what had just happened. After a few hours, he finally couldn't help but ask the old monk, "Master, we are monks, and according to the rules, we shouldn't touch women. Why did you carry that woman across the river?" The old monk calmly replied, "I've already put her down, and you're still carrying her." Letting go of the past and moving forward with a lighter load will enable us to better embrace the future. Once upon a time, there was an old man and his young grandson, and they were going to the market in the city with a donkey. At first, the old man let his grandson ride on the back of the donkey, while he himself led the donkey slowly. On the way, they met some passers-by who talked a lot, saying that the boy did not know how to behave and did not know how to honor his elders at all, even letting his aged grandfather walk, while he himself comfortably rode the donkey. When the old man heard this, he felt a little embarrassed, so he let his grandson down and rode on the back of the donkey himself. However, they didn't go far and they met a few passers-by. When these people saw the old man riding the donkey and the child running behind, they accused the old man of being too cruel and not caring for his grandson at all. The old man was even more embarrassed, so he had to pull his grandson onto the back of the donkey, and the two of them rode together. However, they met a few passers-by who, seeing the old man and the child both riding on the back of the skinny donkey, began to accuse them of being too cruel to abuse the animal in this way. When the old man and the child heard these words, they both found themselves in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. In the end, they had to both get off the donkey's back and push it forward together. This story tells us that no matter what we do in life, it is difficult to please everyone. Instead of trying to please everyone, it is better to stick to your own ideas and go your own way without caring too much about other people's comments. The road of life, to walk on their own, other people's comments, just reference, do not have to be confused. On a cold winter night, a middle-aged man lay in a hospital bed knowing that the end of his life was near. Although he had never believed in religion in his life and was skeptical of the occult, during this time he began to feel an anxiety within him like never before. As his body weakened, his thoughts became extraordinarily clear, recalling all his past decisions and lives. A strong urge to try to face his impending death in a new way emerged in his mind. He felt a gradual increase in fear and uneasiness within him, not knowing how to face this unknown end. In this situation, he decided to try a way that he had never tried before. He silently began to pray, although it seemed strange and unnatural to him. He prayed for forgiveness and inner peace, hoping to find a shred of comfort in the final moments of his life. If there is some sort of power, hear my prayer. I'm not asking for a miracle, just some inner peace. I know I've made mistakes before, but now I just want to feel at peace in my final moments. Even though he didn't get an immediate response, he found himself becoming surprisingly at peace. This process of prayer gave him a sense of inner comfort. Although he could not be sure if there was really some sort of supernatural being, this prayer taught him how to face the impending end. Eventually, he accepted what was coming and reached a certain inner peace. His prayer, though simple, became an important part of his life, enabling him to find peace and acceptance in his final moments. How long has it been since you've had a quiet conversation with yourself? One night, a man had a dream. He dreamed that he was walking side by side with God on a sandy beach, and every scene of his life was playing back in the sky. He noticed that at every step of his journey, there were two sets of footprints on the sand, one for him and one for God. However, as he looked back over his life, he realized that many times, especially when he was experiencing the lowest points in his life, the saddest and most discouraging times, there was only one set of footprints in the sand. This was very confusing and disturbing to him. He turned to God and asked, "Lord, You said you would be with me as long as I decided to follow you. But why is it that in the most difficult time of my life, I see only one set of footprints? Why did you leave me when I needed you most? God gently placed his hand on his shoulder and said, "My dear child, I have never left you. The footprints you see are the ones I carried on my back." May these stories accompany you, warm your heart, and help you learn and improve your Chinese or English. If you like my video, please like, follow, and retweet it, and I'll see you next time.